This is the captain. We have a little problem with our entry sequence, so we may experience some slight turbulence and then explode.
Hello and welcome to the Blackdog number 277.
277.
277. Yay! Hello, Mr. Owl. I'm Lee.
I'm not Darren.
I'm not Jim.
And I'm not Elton. No, I'm Lee. Hold on. What? No, this doesn't work. Where's Mr. Owl again? He should have come in. Anyway. Yes. So... it's off to a flyer. So yes, it's welcome to 277. This is a sort of what's going to become a fairly typical thing, whereby I get told by Darren, who's going to be on Skype because he's working earlies, that he will be online at 9 o'clock, and here we are at 9:20, and there's no sign of him. He is apparently up on a roof somewhere, smashing 7 bales of shit out of some lining on his shed. So. He may have a Rod Hull moment, and we shall all be there to experience it. So as soon as he comes online, we will bring him online, and we will find out how his week's been. So, but obviously we will do our usual. We will find out how everyone's week's been. Then we'll have a shitty superhero. Then we'll have a Profanosaurus.
Yes, indeedy.
And then we will move on to the first of our batshit crazy movie month. Which is the antidote to the very long, slow, drawn-out Western month we had last week.
My God, did we need it as well.
And we start this week with, probably the poster boy for the batshit crazy movie month, which is Crank, with a bit of Jason Statham. The Stafe.
What are you looking at?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I need. Epinephrine.
Let me just go through that purse. Pass your purse over here. Come on, love. Gives your purse.
Does it look like I've got Popping J inscribed upon my forehead, good man?
Well. What would you... Does it look like I am some kind of bounder across my forehead? Across my countenance? Anyway, so before we get to that, let's kick off, and I'll tell you what, let's kick off with Jim. See how your week's been, sir.
It's been pretty much the usual, and I've just been enjoying some days off over the bank holiday weekend.
Lovely.
Main thing to report is following on from a discussion in a previous episode. Actually, it was my brother-in-law's birthday this weekend, and as he's a big gadget man, I bought him a Google Cardboard setup. And so there was much hilarity today at the family gathering as he opened it, and then we all proceeded to play with it.
Yep.
I have to say it works rather well. I mean, obviously it's not bringing a patch on something like Oculus Rift, but at 100th of the price.
Yeah, exactly.
it's an ingenious way to get some VR action, and it works surprisingly well if set it up all right and you've got the right type of phone and kind of. Ooh, I was rather impressed. Yes, I'm definitely getting one of these to play with.
Yeah. So how much was it, if you don't mind me asking?
The one I got actually was just under 20 quid.
Nice.
And that was the V2 version. It's got like slightly actually larger lenses, and it comes with the head strap and the near field strap and the magnetometer button. Whereas if you pay about £5, you just get the lenses and the box. And
Yeah.
But yeah, it works surprisingly well, and it's kind of like it was much fun. I mean, I didn't get much of a chance to go on it. So.
No.
I think my mum was on it the longest. It was highly entertaining.
Nice.
Kind of. Because on the Google Cardboard actual app, there's just like a demo thing about one called Arctic Adventure, where you can go and fly and move around, and if you sort of look at things, and there's like a dot in the screen, you can click on it, and you can go fishing and fly with the seagulls.
Nice.
So how do you click on things then? Is it just
well,
look at a certain bit?
Well, it has like into the actual headset, there's like a button with a magnet, and it uses your phone's magnetometer sensor to register a click.
Nice.
I mean, you can actually, it seems to be exploding at the minute of like these old people doing all sort of tie-in, like, joystick controllers and all kinds of peripherals, even some very, very fancy or like, old school, big molded plastic proper VR headsets,
Cool.
for it. For some people, want to be a bit more durable. And yeah, I mean, I was amazed how well it worked. This
Cool.
is very good.
Nice. All right. So you're going to journey into the virtual world now, are you? Is that it? You're now Lawnmower Jim.
Well, I hope not. I haven't been seeing that movie again. Jesus.
No, we're not watching that for a very long time. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know you can, for a while you'll be able to have these apps where you can take these like panoramic and 360 photos, but now there's all these apps where you can put those photos in and sort of really look around them in the stereoscopic vision and stuff like that, and it's kind of there's lots of interesting sort of arty kind of exhibity sort of photography kind of things you could do, and not to mention there is I've noticed already this kind of like assorted, like there's a zombie shooter already.
Yeah.
There's like various like kind of horror survival horror games.
Yeah.
And it's kind of I can see this being a ton of fun.
Yeah.
The only problem I see is that we all look like gormless fish with this thing strapped to our head, because every photo I've seen is people with their mouth wide open, looking up, going, "Oh."
Yeah, well, there's this thing we did a thing at work, and there was this presentation about it, and there's this one thing that they say which is called the VR smile, which is that moment when you put it on your head, you turn your head, you see it work, and you suddenly see everyone go, "Oh!" They've got this kind of gormless, "Oh!" So. Yeah. Oh wow. Well, do enjoy the horror games. Like I say, if you get a chance, there's a couple I can recommend. But yeah, none of them are good if you want to keep your trousers a nice kind of shade of something other than corduroy brown. Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, on the Google Cardboard app, I mean, the Arctic Adventure thing, it is kind of quite old school, sort of almost Minecrafty sort of style animation. Well, that didn't stop me kind of, put it on and this big seagull landed a rock in front of me. I was reaching out to touch it. And it's because he's not there, you Burke. But, it's just one of those things you can't resist it.
Exactly.
Oh,
it's so pretty. Oh. Anyway, just to interrupt for 1 second, I have located a lesser spotted Darren, and I shall be bringing him into the phone call now.
hopefully not live from a shed roof.
Well, we'll find out just in a few seconds. Well, hold on. Is he coming in? Is he? Hello, Darren. Hello. No. Brilliant. Fantastic work. Ah, dear. Technology at its finest. Well, there you go. While Darren probably frantically scrabbles around to get his headset working, he's probably going, hello, 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 hello. Oh, there we go. Oh, no.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, he's just fallen off the roof of that shed. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Oh,
Here I am.
here you are. Brilliant.
Yes.
Good. Welcome to the party.
Did you turn the shed off and then on again?
No,
And then the roof
I
was magically there.
No, I didn't. I got out and gave it a good banging.
Oh, Mrs.
So there we go.
Oh, well, there you go. That'll give us something to talk about on your week. So, Jim, anything else you want to add, sir?
No, I'll leave that there.
Oh, right, there you go. Nice.
Now we are quarret once more.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well, let's move on to you then, Elton.
Okay. Well, I scared my family on a bridge, and I watched Top Gear.
Right.
So
okay.
I will quickly run over the bridge thing. We went
phrasing.
hunting in Gosfield, and we found like a listed bridge,
Right.
which we've never seen before. It's all there's a massive field. There's little pathways leading up to it, but you have to cut over cornfields to get to it. You are allowed there. It's public highway, but there is a fence behind it. And I walked onto it. It's all concrete floor, but there's no how would you say the barriers on the side? What would you call them?
Railings.
That's the word. Yeah. Couldn't think of it. It's gone out of my head for a second. Yeah, there's no railings at all. So it's just a big slab of concrete going over this pond, quite a deep pond. And it's probably 8-9 feet up in the air.
Right.
And we all walked out onto it. I ended up getting to the centre. Everyone's smiling. And then I jump up and down going bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. And the faces of my family just dropped and they all hugged each other and then ran to safer ground because I didn't realise, because it's a suspension bridge, it was rocking like buggery.
Nice.
It was bouncing all over the place. And then it was only when I stopped did I feel it wobbling around going, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Could have ended up terribly.
Yeah. Did you start off by standing in the middle of it and going, Molaram, prepare to meet Kali in hell?
I will do next time.
No, wait, Johns, what are you doing? See, you miss these moments.
Yeah, I did. We did get into a field and we walked from here. Did all that, but apart from that, no. And I ended up watching the new episode of Top Gear, which showed on, was it Saturday? I think I watched it on Monday.
Sunday.
Oh, was it Sunday?
Yeah.
Has anyone else seen that at all?
Yeah.
I didn't.
And Jim couldn't give a stuff from the
No.
as we previously established off air.
Yeah.
I have.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was toss, and after about 20 minutes, I'd had enough of it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't like Chris Evans. I thought he was trying very, very, very hard to be Jeremy Clarkson 2.0, and then it felt like. Well, I put it on Facebook enough times, so I should really be able to remember it. But it felt like one of those really shit parody sketches that you get on charity shows like Children in Need or Red Nose Day, when they suddenly think, oh, I know, if we take Miranda and make her look like Jeremy Clarkson and then do a parody of Top Gear, that'll be funny. And that's exactly how it felt all the way up to the point where Jesse Eisenberg turned up, and I thought, right, that's my lot.
He was your straw that broke the camel's back.
He was, because Matt LeBlanc had the personality of a stone. Chris Evans was just bouncing around shouting a lot. There was about 15 gags taking the piss out of Clarkson and co, which didn't immediately sort of was like, well, how about you just ignore that and just move on? And all this kind of, well, we don't mention catering, and then, oh, here's all my people from my Indian restaurant, and we get on really well. Oh, fuck off, Chris.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was like the crowd was the worst bit of editing I've ever seen in my life. There's Chris Evans going, come on, yeah, come on, and there's all the crowd noises going, way, woo, way, like TGI Friday. And then they'd cut, and there'd be some fat bloke from Bolton standing up on a bridge, sort of looking slack-jawed and not clapping, cheering, or anything. And it's like,
No.
yeah, actually, none of the crowd are into it. This is a complete sound effect stuck over the top to give you a sense that actually everyone's enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
And
See, I quite enjoyed it. I thought Chris Evans was way over the top. far too over the top. He was doing the TFI Friday, and it's not that kind of show.
No.
It doesn't work on there. They have just re-energized Top Gear and put them guys in Jeremy Clarkson's place. And that's not the way they should have done it, or that's not the way I was interpreting that they would have been doing it, because they had all these pictures of the new crew, and then they just had them two and the Sabina lady driving the car.
Yeah, and for all of its oh no, this is going to be much more straightforward and more PC. It's like the first thing they do is make a joke about her being German and German fighter pilot chasing an American fighter pilot, and it's like, so you're doing exactly the sort of stuff that you were condemning the other guys for, and you're not doing it as well.
I think they should have gone down a different route.
Yeah,
maybe kept the. They've even changed the track that they have the reasonably priced car in, which I didn't like.
Yeah, but they changed the reasonably priced car to a rally car.
Yeah,
and it's just
Have
like,
they?
Yeah, they changed it to a rally car, and it's 2 stars in a rally car now.
So it's not some complete shit heap then.
No,
Like
it's a top of the line rally.
It's a mini.
Yeah, rally class mini.
What's the fucking point of that?
Well, exactly. That's the point. It's the whole thing is just, it's like they've taken all the ingredients and just gone, okay, well, how can we make this our own? I know, let's make it a shiny car instead of a dull car. And then they kept going on about getting custody of the Stig, and it just spent more time kicking the old stuff to the curb than it did doing its own thing new. And,
exactly.
And I just thought, you know what? Fuck this. I mean,
concentrate on what you're building, not what has been before.
Yeah.
That's why I thought Matt LeBlanc was all right. Actually, he surprised me. I thought he was the better part of it.
He was all right when they were doing the outside broadcast stuff.
You didn't see the bit with the aerial atom,
No,
though, did you?
No, because I
got better.
Well, it could have turned into fried gold, but I'd had enough of it by that point.
Yeah,
I literally the whole thing with the Robin Reliance going up to Blackpool. Why were they going up there?
That was weak.
No, yeah, it wasn't just weak. It was pissy. It was like someone giving me a puddle and saying that's Scotch broth. It was just, you can piss in my ear. Don't tell me it's raining. You know, it was just absolute fucking weak sauce.
That was like us, all 4 of us, jumping into 2 Robin Reliance and driving up to Blackpool and then not saying a word all the way up there.
Yeah. And on top of that, the whole fucking thing was so obviously it's the Chris Evans ego boost thing. Oh, look, we just happen to have 2 cars. Oh, look, mine's a C registration car. Yours is some manky old thing from 1965. Oh, I win. It's like, oh, fuck off. I don't really want to see the ginger tosser wanking himself off with BBC money thinking that he's Jeremy Clarkson 2.0. I really don't. And TGI fucking Top Gear can go stick itself up his arse. He's not getting any more on my viewing, I'll tell you that for nothing.
So that would TGI stand for Top Gear Idiots then in that case?
Total guffing imbeciles. I don't know really. I mean, to be quite honest, it was just absolute cock rot. It really was. It was literally like going to go to the one that everyone's had one, a podcast that they never listened to, with a bunch of people that they kind of turned on. They thought, oh, this might be a good subject. Turned it on, listened to it, and then go, nah, actually, I don't really like this.
Yeah,
what, like our one.
Yeah, pretty much like how. Well, I was going to say, and then get those people to come and do this.
Should we just say goodbye to them people right now?
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Goodbye. We're leaving you. Goodbye.
So no, but seriously, it was literally like getting a bunch of hosts from a completely different show and sticking them in there and just going, do what they did before. And it didn't even look nice. The fucking studio looks like they nicked it from some dodgy sort of, I don't know, half baked sort of challenge TV version of fucking Robot Wars.
It surprisingly looks like the American version of Top Gear, because they don't sell the British version to America. They create their own version.
Yeah.
And it looks like their studio, which is a classic American, everyone clap at the correct intervals type studio. Yeah. And I'm going to give it one more episode because I feel like they need to get into a groove. But Chris Evans is trying far, far too hard.
Yeah, well, he apparently, I know this is not really that interesting for many people, but he jumped on Twitter today, apparently, and spent like the whole day just telling everyone how factually this version of the show is better than the other one. And he kept just saying, oh, we had 4 million viewers, and at the start of their season, they had 3 million viewers. Fact. And all this kind of stuff. He's such an obnoxious tossbag that I really could not spend another second in his fucking presence. I really couldn't. And I don't. It's not going to make much difference to anyone. But frankly, it can go take a flying fuck at the moon.
Yeah. See, they're going to get massive audiences. It's the audience numbers mid-season at the end of the season that they really want to be paying attention to.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the curious have logged in to watch it this time. I watched it on iPlayer. I got halfway through, and this will tell you how boring it was. I switched it off. I said to Carol, do you want to check out the new season of Musketeers? And she went, yeah, all right. And so we stopped it halfway through when Jesse Eisenberg and fucking Gordon Ramsay came out because, of course, I love those guys. And then I thought, yeah, I want to see those two tit faces going around in a fucking souped-up supercar rally version because that's going to be entertainment maximus. So no, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch some half-assed fucking version of the Three Musketeers done on the BBC budget for a Sunday evening. So yeah, fuck that Top Gear. And I'm not saying that as like only Clarkson will work. I think if they'd put some time into it and actually thought about doing a brand new revamp as opposed to just taking everything from the other old series, it immediately brings in comparisons. And as soon as you do comparisons, that's it. It's dead in the water.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the new Clarkson show is received.
Yes. I'd be very interested.
I have a feeling that's going to die on its arse. After all the fuss about it.
Well,
and you can't lose Clarkson.
It depends.
I have a feeling people go, it's a bit shit, isn't it?
Well,
I don't think the Amazon has got the audience that they need for that, though.
No, and I think the key thing there is it's going to be a case of how much stock do the viewers of Top Gear that made it a success back back last year and the year before that and the year before that, how much stock they put in the actual presenters and how much they actually put in the content. Because if the content isn't that great, but the presenters maintain that kind of, I don't know, that chemistry, and they still do the let's go on silly drives around the country and do stupid things, then I think it doesn't even need to be a car show. It could be a fucking chat show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be the key. That'll be the moment when people just sort of finally admit either they're not really watching a car show anymore, they're just watching three celebrities basically have arse about, and then we'll see, won't we? But yeah. I think purely just from the trailer for that Amazon one that I'm already going to be a little bit more positively predisposed towards that, just because of the way they were trying to market it, trying to work out what title to give it. And I think it was currently untitled, not televised show or something like that, and it was currently untitled, not televised show, which is CUNTS. And I think straight away that's the old Top Gear gags of having signs on the side of the car, which when the doors all slide back, it makes a completely different word and very rude, and you think, oh God, how do they get away with that? And you laugh at that. And I think that humour is what's going to sell it if it's going to do anything.
Yeah,
it might die on its arse, but we'll see. But I've seen the BBC's version now, and I can't say I'm going to be seeing it again. But there you go.
Cool.
Anyway, yeah. Anything else, Elton?
No.
Okay. Well, let's just see how Darren's week's been going, because I think it's been rather interesting, and I'm trying to wrestle my way out of a onesie without smashing the bloody. Because I'll tell you what, I've been fighting with the heating today, and now the heating's gone the other way, and suddenly this bloody onesie I'm in, it's killing me. I'm boiling alive. Anyway, carry on, Dow. How's your week?
Yeah. Well, carrying on with the TV theme. Today I watched the pilot episode of Preacher.
And what did you think of that?
I loved it.
It's really good, isn't it?
I really enjoyed it. It's really nice to watch it, and to get the characters, you really kind of feel at home with them. You know, I loved them all. I liked Arseface. I liked Jesse Custer. I liked Cassidy and Tulip. Mm-hmm. I think they were all really, really well portrayed in that episode, especially Cassidy. I just love that. And I think you made a comment about something that happens in a field with him.
Yeah.
But just his whole manner.
Yeah.
Is just brilliant. I just love the cheekiness of his character, the way he comes across.
Hello there, Bessie.
Yeah, exactly. Come over here and give Cassidy a kiss. Yeah, excellent. Really, really liked it. I can't wait to see the second episode now.
Which is next week, I think.
June the 6th comes out on.
Yeah. I did like, sorry, spoilers, but when he fell out of the place he fell out and he had an umbrella to stop himself.
Yeah, but it's like when he's in the field and he opens the umbrella. Fuck off.
Sorry.
Really, really good. Yeah. So, I mean, I've read the first graphic novel of it, and I know the characters are different, and I'm glad to say that what you told me about Tulip having this sort of paramilitary type skill, I thought, oh God, they're going into cliche territory now, aren't they? But fortunately, the actress who plays the role really sells it.
Yeah.
She's got a real, there's a bit of a cheekiness to her as well, and it's not forced. It's just a real natural sort of way of being, and the way that the whole bit where it does the flashback.
Yeah.
For her just before she comes to turns up, that whole bit there was just brilliant. I love that. Her and the kids, fantastic. Yeah. So if anybody's thinking of trying it, I would say go ahead, do yourself a favour, watch it.
Yeah. Good plan.
Very, very enjoyable.
So apart from that, what's been going on with you?
Right. Okay. Well, I'll get to Disaster Zone in a minute. Mm-hmm. But this Sunday, I went to MCM Comic Con at the Excel Centre. Possibly one of the biggest ones I think they've actually had. I know someone who actually works sort of like behind the scenes, and he was saying that he thinks that this is the highest ticket sales they've had for any one Comic Con. So there were an awful lot of people there. I think it was more than I've ever seen, actually, at one of their events.
Yeah.
Very crowded. Got a lot of love for the costume.
Yeah.
And I know this time, right? I mean, I've had pictures taken with kids before and stuff like this, and you have a bit of a laugh with them.
Yeah. But were you a bit Uncle Jimmy?
No, nothing like that at all. Nothing like that at all. It's like leaning down.
Not just random kids.
No, not just random kids. No, just like handing them the assault rifle and then going, point it at Dad. Yeah. Think about all those times he hasn't actually bought you a bag of sweets. Yeah, that's it. And you see the expression on their face change. It's kind of a bit scary, really. But there was like one bloke wanted me to hold his baby. It was in a Superman suit. Yeah, he said, "Oh, can you hold him so I can have a picture taken with him?" And it's like, I said to him, "No, I don't think so." It's like, I don't want to. I can hardly see out of this bloody thing. It's like he could hand me the baby, and I could just be grabbing hold of thin air, where he's just dropped it straight on the floor. I wouldn't know. So, you could see these kids weren't actually fucking bothered. They're like 1 or 2 years old, And the dads are like using them as an excuse just to get a photograph with me. It's like, why don't you just come up and ask? It's not a problem. Just do it anyway, you know?
Yeah.
Fuck it. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Good day out. And now from the good to the bad.
Okay.
We have today.
Okay, now is this grumpy Darren moment? Is this going to be
No? This is just what the fuck?
Okay.
That's it. So all I'm going to entitle this section is just what the fuck.
Okay, in which case, hold on 1 second and go.
Okay, so is it playing all right now?
Yeah, it is playing.
Oh, it's okay, right. So I leave work and I get to Cannon Street Station and I see the Barnhurst train. Now, normally the Barnhurst train goes to Welling, right? But they have once every 4 or 5 hours, they have one Barnhurst train that misses out Welling completely and goes in a completely different direction, right?
Yeah.
That was the one I got on.
Nice.
Right, so I'm sitting there watching Preacher, and I look up and I notice I'm at Hither Green. And it's like, the fuck is going on? And then I realise what I've done, thinking, oh, bollocks. So I'll get off the train. And I'm standing at Hither Green, wondering when the next Lewisham one comes in. Yeah. Right? And I noticed there's one actually going to Woolwich Arsenal. So I think, right, bugger, I'll get that. So I walk over to the other side and I stand on the platform waiting for this train to come in. Right? So, 18 minutes passed.
Yeah.
As it says on the board, train pulls in. Right. I look at the board. It says Woolwich Arsenal. I get on it, right? Switch back on the Preacher, and I'm standing there watching it. We get to the station before Nottingham. I look up, and it says it's going to fucking Gravesend. It's like, what the fuck? So I get off the train, and just as the door shut, I actually realise that the readout on the train itself is incorrect, and this is actually going to Woolwich fucking Arsenal. Right?
Yeah.
So I should have just stayed on it, but too late now. The train's pulling out the station, right? And these people are looking out the window, seeing my sad little face as the train just pulls out. So I think to myself, right, okay, I'm going to walk to Eltham. I'm going to get myself a B16 or a B15 and get back to Welling.
Right.
So I'm walking up the road, and there's this big long traffic jam going into Eltham from Nottingham.
Yeah.
And I'm looking up the road, and all of a sudden, there's a commotion up ahead. It's like two guys suddenly storm out of this car. They run round and sort of behind this van and everything, and I can't see what's going on. There's a bang or something, and then there's two of them running back towards the car, and another two start bombing it towards me. Right? And I'm like, oh, fuck, has this been like a fucking drive-by or something? And now the fuckers are heading towards me. And I'm not joking, I've felt the blood just drain from my entire body. I'm standing there, I've just got this fucking golfing umbrella.
Right.
You know? If they've twatted someone with something, that's it. And there's two of them, they're pretty big fucking blokes.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm grabbing onto this for dear life. And I'm trying to do angry face, but I'm sure it's failing.
Yeah.
You know?
You're little Daredevil.
I'm little Daredevil.
Blue and white striped Daredevil.
I'm little Daredevil. Fortunately, they just passed straight by me. Right? And I've not been so relieved in all my life. It just really was my fucking luck that this would happen.
Yeah,
I missed the
people
trains.
would run past you.
That I'd get fucking mugged on the way back. Because that would just be the fucking icing on the cake.
Yeah.
So anyway... I get home, and last night what happened was, because we had high winds, I looked out in the backyard, and I noticed the fence was actually doing a good impression of a snake, and it was just moving in S shapes. So I went out there last night, and I used a combination of staples, garden wire, and fucking chopping boards.
Wow, left field.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about...
That's very hipster on how to fix a fence.
Well, it's the only things I had to hand. That was it. And I'm not talking about big, chunky wooden chopping boards, right? I'm talking about those little sheets of plastic that you can get.
What the fuck?
Yeah, those ones. You know, the thin sheeting that they class as a chopping board, which lasts about 2 or 3 chops, and then you've gone through it.
So you repaired a fence using an antiseptic chopping board?
No, it's not an antiseptic chopping board. This is a sheet, just a sheet of plastic.
So a piece of laminate.
It's as thin as a piece of paper, right? That's the only thing I had to hand. So I'm out there stapling and tying this fucker together, right? But it stays together. This is it. It's literally completely stable.
Can you see it from here, where you're sitting?
I can see it. It's still there. It's still there.
Is it?
So I took the liberty of buying some nails on the way home from work today and a big fucking saw. And I've just been out the back, just shoring up this fence with bits of wood and nails and God knows what else. So also the part of the roof of my shed was coming off as well, so I had to fucking tack that down.
Right. So you've been tacking that off as well?
Exactly. I've been man put wood on wood, nailed it. Then wife came home, cooked meat with fire.
And
man eat meat, man now happy.
So how many fingers do you have still?
I still have all my fingers.
Yeah, what about your toes?
All my toes as well.
Limbs?
No, you see, I did the sensible thing.
Yeah.
I held the nails with a pair of fucking pliers and banged them in that way. That way, no flat fingers.
Right.
So, if there is a zombie apocalypse, come over to my place because I can build a barrier out of fucking anything. That's it.
or possibly barrier out. Yeah, as long as you've got a couple of pieces of laminate sheeting, you'll be fine.
I am household MacGyver.
Household MacGyver.
I am household MacGyver. And next week, I'll be building a tank out of an old kettle and a cat tree.
Nice.
So there we go. That's been my week.
That's been your week. Okay, well, my week's not been anywhere near as enthralling as that. I did have weather issues today, trying to get in. At what point I sort of left the house and I had my waterproof jacket on, and then by the time I'd actually got to work, my pockets, because they were waterproof, had filled with water. This wasn't helped by the fact that what happened was the day before, yesterday, we went down to Brighton.
Yep.
And while we were down there, I decided to have a little lie down on the beach. It's a pebbly beach. So I was just laying down on the beach. The girls went off to throw stones into the sea and do all that kind of stuff. And I nodded off a little bit. Next thing I know, Lisa has put about 400 stones into the hood of my hoodie where my head is. And it's all in my... And then when I stood up, basically, I've got inside pockets on my hoodie. And it's like... So as I've stood up, it's like I'm being weighed down by the mafia. They're going to throw me in the sea. And it's in my shoes, it's in my pockets and everything. So today, walking in with my pockets full of water, what wasn't helping was I actually was carrying what later turned out to be about 4 pounds of shingle.
So basically, you've got your own aquarium in each pocket.
Yeah.
You could have opened up as an attraction.
Yeah, and if I farted, it would look like I've got a water filter in there as well. Huh? But
hey, jacuzzi!
Yay! So I had that, but while we were down in Brighton, I went to this American diner place. Mm-hmm. And because it's Katie's birthday this Friday, but we were going to go do something special, and so we went down there, and she went to this American diner place, and they sort of, and I sort of thought, oh well, I'll get into the spirit of things, and I had a milkshake, and they give you a milkshake, which is no joke, about a pint. But then what happens is,
wow.
So I had this peanut butter and Nutella milkshake, which stood about a foot off the desk. And then they bring along the extra, and you sort of go, "Oh, okay, I'll have that." And you're drinking away, and then what you realise is this stuff is made out of pure cement. So when the food comes along and you start eating it, you're like, "I've had one mouthful, I can't eat a fucking thing." But then you're thinking, "No, this is all in with the family. This is going to cost me about 60 quid. I must eat the hamburger. And I sort of forced it down like Mr. Creosote from Monty Python.
What for 15 minutes?
Yeah, oh, no, must have some more. And then, in the moment, I can feel it actually in my chest like a chest burster. I can actually feel I haven't eaten anything today, and I know I'm still digesting the meal from yesterday. So at some point, I'm just going to shit myself live on air. So if that happens, just talk amongst yourselves. The other thing, while I was down there, we went into the arcades. Have you been into the arcades since they started doing all that ticket stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have. And they do you win a prize.
Yeah, exactly. You get tickets.
4,000 tickets or something you got to get though.
Oh yeah, to get an iPad, you got to get like 6,000 tickets or something stupid like that. But we found a machine where basically you strike a button, and if you hit it right, it gives you so many like air pumps on a balloon, and if the balloon pops, you get so many 100 tickets. And so it started off, it was like, okay, this is a bit of a waste of time. But then what happened was, me and Katie started circling around this thing and watching people come up, try it, walk away, and then knowing just when to sort of step in and basically pop this fucking balloon.
You were lurkers.
We were lurkers. And by the end of it, we had like nearly 1,500 tickets. And so it's like, oh, wicked, 1,500 tickets. But Katie wanted to get some, I don't know, we wanted to get something for the kid, Katie and Lisa. So we got this, we were going to get this plasma ball and a fucking skateboard and all this kind of stuff. And then I've suddenly become like super obsessive dad. And basically, I went into this thing, I'm hovering there, and we need another 100 tickets. That's all we need, 100 tickets. And I'm like, well, I've got £1 in my pocket. I'm going to wait. And this lady came up and she starts throwing money into this thing, and this balloon's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm thinking, any second now. And then she fucked up the last button, and it didn't do any pumps, and this thing's like huge. And then she checked her pocket, and she didn't have any money. And she went off. And I'm like, now, go! And I ran in there, I got it, and I blew this thing up, and I got like extra 350 tickets, and there was much rejoicing. But then what happened was I heard behind me, that's a bit of a fucking cheek. And behind me was the boyfriend of the girl who had gone off to get some extra change. So
right.
I'm like, oh well. What do you want? And he's like, I'm really pissed off now. I could have given her £1 and she could have won that. I'm like, yeah.
But why didn't you? You tight-fisted twat.
Exactly. And my problem is...
Exactly.
Yeah. And so then he...
You got an issue? Here's a tissue.
Yeah, exactly. And and he spent all the rest of the time while I was in the arcade following me around, glaring at me, because I basically nobbled him out of 350 tickets.
Did you stand there saying, look, I'm going to pull out your new iPad that you've just won, and go, I'm going to report you via my iPad. This one that I won that you could have had now.
Actually, I'm communing the spirits using this plasma ball. No, so actually what I did was, he's following me around, and I'm realising he's giving me the evils. So then what I did was I actually looked at him, smiled, and slowly fed the tickets in to the ticket counting machine in groups of 5. Because I thought, if he hits me, this is going to be a great story.
You didn't just set him alight then?
No.
Some people just want to watch the world burn.
No. What happened was I did that. I got 300 tickets in, and then a couple of them were sort of ripped off in my hand. So then what I did was, as a kid came past, I went, here you go, kid. And I just gave him some extra tickets. This little kid was like, way! And I'm like, looked at the bloke, and I gave him the thumbs up, and I went off and gave the game. So that was fun. And that's about it, really. Other than that, one other thing I'm going to say is that on Saturday, this may be the last Blackdog podcast, this one here, right now. Because on Saturday, I have discovered, or at least remembered, that that basically Carol has signed me and the family and herself up for a 5K run.
Yeah.
But not just any old 5K run. A 5K run over inflatables looks like something out of Total Wipeout. And it ends on, now you're going to love this, it ends on the Europe's highest inflatable slide.
Oh, you're going to love that.
Ain't I just? And so, so basically, I'm going to be going down a slide that is 205 feet tall.
Smashing. Get it on film.
Because it'll be the only thing found of me at the bottom of the pile of. Well, I don't know.
Can you make sure there's audio on there as well? Right. Okay. So we can hear the scream all the way down.
Yeah, all the way down. So I'm going to gung ho in Brands Hatch on Saturday at 11:45. A 200-foot high inflatable slide is at the end of this 5K run. So pray for Mojo. I may not be on next week. You may just
enjoy.
You may have to take over from me.
You may still be in orbit by the time we do.
Well,
next one.
It's not so much in orbit, more sort of in a crumpled heap at the bottom of this fucking slide.
No, there's going to be a ramp at the end of it. You know there is.
I hope. Yeah. And he's away.
You always wanted to go to New York.
Yeah, well, actually, I think I'll probably get about as far as the gates of the park. But anyway, so that's that. So, do look out for that. That'll be something I'm sure I'll be able to tell you all about next week. Right, well, I suppose we better get on, don't we? Now, obviously, Darren, you're on Skype, so you can't actually see when I say, have you seen this bit of paper?
Shitty superheroes fly into a wall. Shitty superheroes, they're not cool at all. Great big bunch of losers going nowhere fast, trying to fight bad guys, but falling on their ass. Try to tell them stop, but they don't understand that we suffer. Shitty heroes go away. Yeah.
And no, I haven't finished the end of the jingle. Right. Okay, fine. Sod it. I'm going to get there at the end. I'm going to do it. So, shitty superhero this week. This one is from Mike Burney, or Byrne, or Beirne. I've seen him about. He's on all over the place. He's on the Question Podcast Facebook group, our Facebook group, and Shonky Labs Facebook group. And he sent in a shitty superhero. Now, here's one. He sent in a little bit of prelude, and I'm just going to read it out to you. He's written, I was just listening to the podcast and hearing Elton talk about how he could have freed a kid from a bowling ball machine in minutes with a set of spanners, and I was wondering if there was a shitty superhero called Liftman. Well,
no.
There is, and he has supplied me with a link. And if you go to www.Kone, that's Kone, liftman.in, there he is, right there. I shall send you the links, guys, just so you speed things up there. Just through the chat. Off you go to that link while I read the rest of this. So, he comes at the speed of lightning, swoops in and saves you from elevator disasters in the nick of time. Say hello to Liftman, a new superhero on the block. Our superhero comes with a purpose, a sense of responsibility, to make rides on elevators and escalators safer for us all. Watch the Liftman Chronicles and start learning today about elevator safety. And then Mike continues. He seems to be a character created by an Indian lift company to educate and teach safe operation of lifts and elevators. So no actual comic strip, but he does have a series of animated videos and episodes on YouTube. The Chronicles of Lift Man. Oh, there we go. I'm going to send you that as well. So here's the Chronicles of Lift Man. One episode of Lift Man features him rescuing a kid with his shoelace caught in an elevator. And I was thinking if Elton were in this video, he would probably have just laughed his bollocks off at the sight of the trapped kid. So perhaps Elton could be Lift Man's evil persona.
I don't think you're far off.
I'm queuing that up right now.
Hold on, I've got it going. Here we go. Ooh. Oh. Get hold of this. Oh, look at the graphics. Lift Man. It's the Lift Man. The Chronicles of Lift Man. Oh, so much for that. Oh, look at the CGI. The CGI is superb. It's called The Shopping Trip, this episode. And there's a lady in the shop. And there's a kid moving as if he's jumping around on Mars, the way the gravity's working. The mum
Maybe he's Frog Boy.
Yeah. The mum appears to be...
high on cocaine.
Yeah. And everyone... Oh, wow. The animation here is amazing. Even the text can't even stay still on the shop signs. It's amazing work here. The kid's just... Oh, mum's gone into the shops and completely ignored the kid. Now she's going into another shop. This is all very enthralling. We're a minute in and literally there's literally been no sign of shops. No sign of lifts at all. Oh, she's now really pleased because she's seen a thing called All Man Mart. The kid's chasing after a really terrible looking strawberry or perhaps banana. Oh no, his lace is loose and he's got
balloon.
He's on. Oh, status danger.
Danger in the mall.
Oh, here we go.
Little boy's going to fall.
The mum's just realised the kid's trapped. The kid's trapped on the escalator. Oh no. But here comes Lift Man. He's at the top of the lift and he stopped the lift with a button. Wow.
Remember, never leave children to ride the escalator alone. Also, make sure that there are no loose hanging clothes or untied shoelaces before stepping on an escalator.
It'd be good if you...
An escalator is not a toy. Never sit on it or try walking in the reverse direction. You could lose balance or get hurt. Always stand before the safety yellow line.
You taking
and face
notes?
forward before riding the escalator.
That's right.
Make sure you hold on to the handrails and your children while in motion. Never lean to the sides. It is very dangerous.
I'm turning this off. I can't.
Never try to jump steps when the escalator
Don't try and jump steps. That's it. Wow.
is in motion.
Hold on.
Wait patiently till you reach the end and then step off.
So what do you think, Elton?
It feels too much like work, to be honest.
So do you wear a costume just like Elevator Man? Lift Man?
Hang on. No, I don't. I refuse to. And if my boss came out and said I had to wear something like that, I don't think I would. No.
No? I think you'd look quite fetching with that beanie hat on.
Oh, jeez. No.
I think he's gone quiet over there because I think Jim and Darren are still watching it.
Well, Coney are one of the big four in the world,
Right.
that make lifts and stuff like that. And for them to not even plow an ounce of their overall profits into that animation is just embarrassing.
Yeah, that's good.
That is seriously poor.
Yeah, I mean that was released on the 28th of March. So that we haven't even got like bad CGI to complain about, sort of like being of its time.
But his superpower was to turn the escalator off.
Yeah. And
It's a good job he's not doing zoo safety, isn't it?
don't leave your kids in with a gorilla. If you're
Lie down
For
and
listeners
turn
at
to the
home,
gorilla.
can I try and describe Liftman?
yeah,
Can
please
you imagine
do.
Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles has had a love child via cheap CGI with the Green Cross Man, and then, for some inexplicable reason, put what looks like a blindfold over his face. Or is it his helmet has slipped down in a comedy fashion? I can't tell.
I don't know.
You have Liftman.
Yeah, it's incredible. That's truly astounding.
He's got a physique a dog's chew toy would envy. And a matching texture.
Yeah, he hasn't moved his. I've been watching it for it's the episode I'm watching is 4 minutes and 38. He has been on screen for about 3 minutes, and he hasn't actually moved. He's just a static image. I don't think anyone's actually bothered rigging him at all. It's just incredible. That's amazing. Well, I tell you what, a new low has been set. Seriously,
He hasn't even got any tools out.
well, I don't think you want to see that. He's got his pants on. He's got his pants on.
Rule 34.
Yeah. Give it a chance. It'll be out there. Yeah, fantastic. Darren, are you there?
Yes.
Have you?
I'm still reeling in shock from the amazement of watching that amazing piece of CG art.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's truly incredible. I think I might have to stick this on the Facebook group. It's that good.
It's gripping. There was laughter. There was sadness. Bit for everything. Everybody in there, I think.
A little something for everyone.
Yeah, it's made me go. I think I'm going to go away and have to think about it. It's quite a thought provoking performance.
Has it made you rethink your health and safety relationship?
Rethink. It's taken my original thoughts on health and safety, rolled them up into a ball and chucked them in a bin, and then poured petrol on them and set them alight.
Nice. Oh,
not just rethinking. Just I'm going to have to recreate my thoughts on escalator safety from the ground up.
Wow.
From scratch.
See, job done. There you go.
Yes.
So, if anybody else would like to send in any shitty superheroes, like Liftman, I think we're going to take the brakes off now. If people find a shitty superhero that's attached to a brand with something as equally terrible as this, I think we'll allow that.
Yeah, not just mascots.
Not mascots.
They have to be a superhero of such.
Yeah, they have to have some kind of actual story attached. They can't just be here's a really terrible superhero drawn on the back of a milk carton. No,
otherwise you end up with mascots at football grounds and crap like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you want to send any in, send them in to blackdog@geekplanetonline.com. And if you can get one like that, like Liftman, I think that knocked it out of the park. Thank you very much for that, Mike. That's awesome. That's brilliant. So now it's time to move on to the more classy end of the podcast. That moment of pure bliss, where we take in a deep, calming breath and listen to Jim Moon's Profanosaurus.
Hospital gown. Euphemism. For something that looks at first glance respectable from the front, but if you just move slightly, a whole bunch of arse is revealed. See also the careers of Jason Statham, Neville Dean Taylor, Amy Smart.
Well, there you go. So you want to finish early, Jim, is what you're saying, and you're just giving us the review.
I think we should do it quickly in the spirit of the film.
Yeah, exactly. just everyone drink Red Bull and just go, yeah, right. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Jim. And, right, okay, well, I suppose I better get the wiki up and everything ready, because I think it's time to do our first Batshit Crazy Movie Month.
Batshit Crazy Movie Month. must die. Do you think I've got cunt written on my forehead?
Yes, so the first week of Batshit Crazy Movie Month. And we start off this week with Crank, directed by Neville Dean /Taylor, produced by Gary Lucchesi, Tom Rothenberg, Skip Williamson, and written by Neville Dean /Taylor, starring Jason Statham, Amy Smart, Jose Pablo Cantillo, and it was basically released 10 years ago, in September the 1st, 2006, and the budget was $12 million. Anyone want to hesitate a guess at how much it made? Darren?
40 million.
Right, okay. Jim?
20 crates of Red Bull.
Elton?
13
pounds, pence, what?
million.
13 million. Well, Darren's actually closest with 42 million. There you go. The wiki is as brief as the film, to be honest, as the film's plot. The film was shot on location in Los Angeles. Co-directors Mark Neville Dean and Brian Taylor operated both A and B cameras, where one would get a whole wide shot, the other would get a close-up shot. Jason Statham did all of his own fights and car stunts, including the fight with Verona in the helicopter 3,000 feet above Los Angeles. The music was the film was released on 22nd of August 2006, and All Music gave the album 3 stars out of 5, saying, "What is here is imaginative, crazy, and head-scratchingly cool." The critical response was mixed to positive reviews, with a rating of 61% on Rotten Tomatoes, based on 92 reviews, and an average of 6 out of 10. The consensus states that the film is about a guy injected with speed. No, wait, that's a bus. Actually, no, it's a film about a guy who kicks a bunch of squirmy butt to stay alive. No, hold on. That's Snakes on a Plane. But here is a film about doing lots of drugs and pulling lots of punches, and entertains accordingly. The film also scored 57 out of 100 on Metacritic, based on 19 reviews, which also indicates mixed or average reviews. There was a sequel called Crank High Voltage, and there is plans for a third one at some point. So you can tell how the second one worked out. There was also a game released on based on this called by Silverbirch Studios, and that's about it. Including Call of Duty Ghosts had a reference to it where one character becomes quote unquote cranked, and then the game goes into boosted speed for 30 seconds, allowing you to kill as many enemies as you can to reset the timer. And that's it. That's the complete and utter wiki in a nutshell. Which has surprised no one, really. So, who has seen this film and who hasn't seen this film before?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Elton?
I'd seen bits, but I'd like to say no, I hadn't seen it.
Okay. Well, shall we start with you then, Elton, and see how you get on?
Okay.
What did you think of this film?
Okay, Crank, it's the equivalent, or the film equivalent, of eating Haribo for breakfast.
Nice.
That's the only way I can conceive it. It is utterly ramped up to the max. The characters are so overly bloated. It is like a video game, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so much like a video game, to the point where I think GTA 5 adopted the bird's eye view, where they transition between different parts of the city.
Yeah.
Where they zoom out, and it's wonderfully over the top. It's so much so that I had so much fun, and then it hits a little brick wall when he meets his missus. And at that stage, it kind of shifts down a gear. The problem with this film is the premise is that it is a revenge movie. But really, it plays too much on just the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And the adrenaline shots and trying to keep up that adrenaline, it's so wafer thin. It's impossible to have a full film on that.
Yeah.
And they try and play on the revenge bit, but there's some bits that work, there's some bits that don't work, there's some bits that are utterly dumb, because the guy who rips the DVD in the front room saying that he's murdered him or he has killed him, he's just written his own jail warrant, really, isn't he? He's just confessed to the murder of that person that you're going to find dead in the room.
Yeah, I think, to be quite frank, I think you're going a little too far into it.
I am, yes. Yeah, it doesn't warrant that.
No.
It doesn't deserve that.
No.
So maybe I should not even think about that.
No,
but
I mean,
it's a good point, though.
It is a good point. It's a very good point. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying it's going to be one of those films where I don't think there's a lot of threads to pull.
No, there's not. But I did watch it 1.5 times. I had that much time to watch it. I wanted to watch it for a second time.
Yeah.
And on the second viewing, he sets up his own downfall, really, because he goes on this mission to take out what's his name, Mr. Don Kim, and yet doesn't fall through for it. But he disappears. He tells him to disappear, and yet he gets the Chinese medicine stabbed into him because the other guy thought he killed him. So he set up his own downfall introspectively, and it's so full throttle. And the problem with these movies, where they are just railed up to 10, is you can only take so much for so long. Where once it hits number 10, you can take half hour of that. That's fine. Normal films, they ebb and flow. You have a nice flow to it. You ramp up to either a crescendo at the end or something towards the end or something towards the middle. But this, it's just set on loud all the way, and it becomes very, very samey all the way through. Once you've had that too many times, it becomes a bit too samey. There are some cracking bits in it that I thoroughly enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
But there are some vile bits in it as well.
Yes.
And the bit that made me wince the most was so I just thought about it and it made me chuckle.
Yeah.
When he cuts the guy's hand off in one foul swoop.
Yeah.
And then he's fighting with him and he punches the floor, flipping out.
Oh God, yeah.
God, I cringed so much. As if having your hand wasn't painful enough.
Yeah. Punching it hard into the floor. That's
ouch.
Yeah. It's not great.
Yeah. But there is one bit I don't want to dwell on. I'll let someone else do it this time. But it does get a bit rapey. Again. What is it with the rape and stuff?
I don't know.
Did we have a rape season? I don't remember saying yes to that.
I don't think I'd ever put in for that. For what it's worth, you don't get that in the next film we do.
Good.
For sure.
But I did have fun watching it. Like I said, the only problem I think it suffers from is it is ramped up to the max, and it is there. It just hangs there for too long. It doesn't build up to anything.
No, well, that's just it. It's just loony. Cool. Okay. Well, then, what about you, Mr. Barnard? Seeing as you were the only other person who hasn't seen this before.
I actually quite enjoyed watching it. I've got to say, after the past couple of weeks of moving through the Wild West slowly season, this was quite a change. You know, it is like injecting tartrazine straight into your eyeballs. It's just that kind of, just like that, you know. In fact, the best way to describe it, if you want a physical representation of this film, right, something to make you actually physically feel the movie. There was a fairground ride I went on once. I think it's in a place called Flamingo Land near York, just outside York. And it is basically this like round track. And on it, you don't actually have cars to sit in. The cars are shaped like motorbikes, right? So you're like leant over them like TT racers. And it goes from 0 to 60 in 1.2 seconds.
Right.
Right? That's crank.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing of going so fast you can't even catch your breath.
Yeah.
You know? That amount of acceleration. So, yeah. I can see what you mean about the rapey parts in it. That was the kind of thing that bothered me. It was that, oh, no. That got that in it.
Apparently, though, rather interestingly, according to IMDb, all the onlookers for that scene were just general passers-by.
Were they?
They weren't actual actors. They just shot. They just shot that scene right in the middle, right in the middle of the thing. So when he finally, shall we say, succeeds, and then he goes, "Yeah, I'm alive," and everyone's going, "Way!" That's actually just the general public.
Smashing. Superb. I thought some of the fights were really good. The choreography in them was okay.
Yeah.
You know, not the best I've seen, but you know, still it's moving at 200 miles an hour, so you can't really see that much.
No.
Story-wise, not very much there.
No.
Of course, it's pretty basic stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think, again, good antidote for what we've been doing.
Yeah.
These past 3 or 4 weeks.
Yep.
Did I like Chev Chelios? One thing I will say, there were certain points in the film, even though Stafe, or the Stafe, was doing a London Cockney accent, there are times when all of a sudden it slipped into being American, or he was trying it out.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, no, don't do that. Stick to the English accent.
Yeah, like when he's standing in the hospital and he goes, "Give me that thing. Begins with E." She went, "England." Very fucking funny. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
It's all right. I did like the line about, "Have I got cunt written on my forehead?" That.
Just die. Just die.
It was very clever with its presentation.
Yeah, I mean, the presentation was kind of inspired by the fact that this Neville Dean and Taylor, they're kind of pop video. Unsurprisingly, they're pop video directors first, and then on top of that, they're 80s video game geeks from the looks of things.
With the 8-bit.
Yeah, lots of the 8-bit video graphics, and a lot of there's a few references to video games like Robotron and all sorts of things there. It's just like, okay, fine, just wear your influences on your sleeve, guys, go for it. So it does feel very video gamey in that respect. But anyway, sorry, carry on, Darren. It's just while it came to mind.
That's about it, really.
There's not an awful lot you can say with it. It's not a film to dissect, is it? Let's be honest.
And I'm guessing from the fact that, is there a Crank 2?
Yes.
What is that? Is that like Crank 2, what's left of him is in a shopping bag?
Well, I'll tell you what, we're not going to do it because I'm not actually a fan of Crank 2 because I think it just doesn't have the same sort of, I'm not going to say charm because that's not right, but the same kind of vibe. But basically what happens is they scrape him off the pavement, and then these bunch of Chinese mafiosi guys are going to organ harvest him. Right. And while they're arguing over whether or not to take his knob and who's going to get the transplant, they replace his heart with a cheap replacement heart to keep. And then because it's a motorized one, it's keeping the blood pumping in him. And then basically he gets up. He gets up because now he hasn't got that nasty, horrible shit Chinese medicine going through him, but he's got this faulty mechanical heart, so he has to keep charging himself up. So he has to keep touching mains cables and wiring himself up to car batteries and shit like that to keep his heart keep his electric heart running. That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah. It takes what was already up to 11 stupid and then sends it up another notch. if such a thing was possible, but the problem is it goes so far the other way. It kind of you go off. You actually turn around and just go, actually no, I'm out now. I've had enough. But rather interestingly, just because I'm looking on IMDb before we get to you, Jim, the director's cut, which is longer, is actually 93 minutes. just mentioning that.
Is it just more of him falling out of the helicopter?
But I think there's a few more scenes of him running around. There's also that fight in the club that he goes into at the beginning. A bit more of that. And I don't know if you noticed, but the club itself actually bulges out like a cartoon.
I noticed that.
You're having a fight in it. But anyway, yes. So, yes. So, anyway, that's Darren's opinion. So let's move on to you, Jim. What did you think of it?
Well, this was the second or third time I've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, this is a film that I think it's showing its age for me.
Mm.
I think the first time you watch it is kind of like, bloody hell, that's mental.
Mm.
But when you come back to it, you go, actually, it's not as mental. It
Yeah.
could be more mental.
Yeah.
And actually kind of, well, I can has some good scenes in it. I found actually it's less than the sum of its parts.
Mm.
It's kind of style over substance is to give it too much credit.
Yeah. Yep, very much
Because
so.
there isn't a lot of the style it's very that kind of early 2000s style, and nothing dates quicker than people being cutting edge and hip.
No.
I mean, sad fact. I mean, that doesn't just apply to this film, but any film that really goes for we're going to be ultra hip and it looks ridiculous in sometimes a matter of months.
Yeah.
I mean, the film has a tremendous issue, but I can't think it's kind of they could have done more with it. As Elton said, there's bits where it actually does take its foot off the gas pedal, and it's kind of with a bit more thought. You could have really engineered some, bigger and better sequences where he has to keep the adrenaline flowing. But as it is just kind of. It just sort of plays it sort of by the numbers, and it's kind of. I got the impression they sort of ran out of ideas, and so suddenly had this plot thing. Oh, well, he didn't kill that guy, and there's going to be a turf war or something at the end.
Yeah,
and it's kind of okay, and it's kind of
No,
it's too short to outstay its welcome, and the moments when it's good, it is really kind of like a hyper-violent Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
And it is tremendous fun, but kind of coming back to it, it's not as fun as I remember it. And I think it's one of those. It's a movie that once it loses that shock of the new, it's kind of actually it's really ramshackle, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. It's sort of my reaction to this time is there's a Family Guy sketch where Peter's being Indian goes, just like goes to like a cutaway of like a pastiche of the $6 Million Man opening. We can rebuild him. How much is it going to cost? $6 million. We don't want to spend that much. And the next shot is Peter Griffin, stumping along with a pogo stick for a leg and a metal funnel for an eye, kind of. And that's kind of my second viewing of Crank, kind of. Yeah, this isn't actually as turbocharged as I thought it was. Now I've got past all the fast edits and jump cuts, and it's kind of you could have done actually a lot more with this, and kind of some things I think are in the wrong place. It's like the car chase where he just does go through the mall.
Oh, I love that though. When he,
that's a brilliant sequence, but I think it'd work better if that was later in the film.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Just little things like that is kind of because that's kind of one of the big action sequences, and then you have a long stretch where there's just running around and gunplay and quips and nothing really to match that afterwards. And it's kind of, no, put that in earlier.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things I also noticed this time round with the benefit of a few years. It's kind of, this is reminding me of The Crow 2 musically. It's kind of, they really paid good money to get some classic songs and used them very well.
Yeah.
But the other half of the soundtrack is identical heavy rock, hip hop bollocks of the worst kind.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, it's kind of, it's kind of a soundtrack like this, you want it to be all killer, no filler.
Yeah. That's very true. It's, sorry. Anyway, sorry, I'm trying to hold back from saying anything before I get onto my bit, because, Yeah, I do agree though. It's very much very much so.
I mean, one of those things where it's a film kind of of its time, and it's still quite an enjoyable watch, but I don't think it kind of has the proper repeat value of a classic action film.
Mm.
I mean, I know a lot of people really love this film.
Yeah.
And, and fair play to you. And it's kind of, and I'm sort of a bit kind of, I wanted to like it, enjoy it more the second time on this viewing,
Yeah.
But I still had fun with it. I don't think it's a bad film at all. And I think it's sort of quite subversive the way it plays with those action tropes and just thumbs its nose at them, essentially.
Mm.
And I know it's juvenile and crass, but I kind of like that in a film sometimes. And this sort of does it well enough.
Yeah.
But I think, I think a bit more thought, a bit more polish. I mean, it wasn't the most expensive film. And this is a kind of film that you could do a good remake of.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, it's one of those. It's one of those films. It's one of those films you kind of enjoy because you have no idea where it's going to go next.
Yes.
And as soon as you do, that's it. The sort of gloss has come off. And yeah, I mean, sorry, have you got anything additional to add?
The only thing I'd say is it's one of those films. I think this film sort of really made a big splash when it came out, and people sort of really loved it. And it's I get the impression that if they'd known kind of the reaction it would get, they'd have kind of just really gone for it a bit more. Yeah, but I get the feeling kind of, well, this is, these are young filmmakers, not a big budget. They're taking risks and they're going as far as they dare.
Yeah,
because I think they could have took the humour a lot further, and but as it was, this it seemed to fluctuate a bit from Chev being your usual hard-quipping, hard man to something actually a bit more rounder and funnier. I love the bit in the hospital where the guy's on the gurney he goes, "I won't tell you again." And just a few more touches like that would have just, it would just turned it up a bit more for me. But, but no, I mean, it's a fun movie. It's one of a kind still, even though I think it has dated a bit. But it's one of those with films with date though. Give it another 10 years, it'll get that warm glow of nostalgia for the early 2000s.
Yeah,
and be a period piece. You know what I mean? It kind of won't look as creaky, bizarrely.
Yeah,
and I'm sure people will still be going back to it then, another 10 years' time, quite certainly. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it sounds about right. I mean, for me, it was. I watched it and I sat there. I was kind of willing myself along with it, if you know what I mean. I kind of because the first time I watched it, I was literally kind of sitting there like I'd been slapped around the face by a fish. Like someone, something just completely unexpected had just come out of left field and just completely smacked me in the face. And I'm like, what the fuck have I just watched? But I never felt like I'd seen a bad thing. I just feel like I've seen like something that, wow, just wow. And I watched it this time and I was sitting there kind of going, this is going to be great. This is going to be great. It's going to be full on. And actually you could see the gaps in the action. And I'm kind of like, So I this time round I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed the bits that I knew I would enjoy, and I didn't feel like I'd watched the whole film. I just watched a clip reel of mad action, and there was lots to like. And one thing I did like, which is probably going to get me some kind of slam from some quarters, I'm sure, is the fact that it was gloriously un-PC. And it was, I know in these days and, in this day and age, we're all supposed to be sort of more sensitive and absolutely, that's absolutely right. But there's something quite retro throwback to the fact that it's like an equal opportunities insulter. It insults absolutely every race, creed, colour, gender, everything.
I think it just sticks two fingers up to the PC brigade.
Yeah, and not that I'm endorsing this as a sort of thing that should happen in every movie, but the fact was, it was like two naughty schoolboys got hold of a film and just went, fuck it, we're going to make something that's just going to make us laugh. And somewhere along the line, they sort of realised they were insulting one sort of either a minority or a race or anything, and they suddenly went, well, actually, no, let's do this. And they insulted everyone else, and then they just kept going. And there's something madly anarchic about it, which in temperament I enjoy. It's almost, you shouldn't do, but you do, if you know what I mean. You shouldn't be sitting there laughing at it, but you find yourself laughing at it despite the action, or despite So like, for example, what you were saying about like the Amy Smart bit in the middle of the street. You're right in the kind of it's a rapey kind of moment. Absolutely, I'm completely down with that. However, it's not in the same way as, say, like the High Plains Drifter one, or in the case of like last week's film, Once Upon a Time in the West, where he just drags her off and that's the end of that. It's more like he's asking and then he's saying, "Look, you've got to save my life. This has got to happen." And you're like, no. And then, like, after about a second or two, she just, like, goes, okay, and sort of jumps on him. And then it's kind of, so it's not quite as, not that I'm trying to use this as a sort of weird justification, but it's not quite as all one-sided. I don't know if that makes things better. It probably doesn't. But the thing was, the whole film was like that. It was just like, you know what? Bollocks to everyone. Someone's going to get offended at this, so I might as well go the whole fucking hog and offend everyone. And there's something quite refreshing about that, about a complete lack of inhibition as to precisely what you're going to put on screen. You didn't get a feeling there was a bunch of studio execs going, can we make the guy who's his best friend, can we make him a lovable doofus who eats donuts and sits in a car giving out homilies or something like that? None of that. It was just, there was no breaks on it, and then in some respects I kind of respect it for that, even though if any other film done in any other way without that same knowing tone. Because I think that's what does work for this, is the fact that it so clearly understands that it's being bad. It's not sitting there. It's not sitting there playing it straight, or saying this is the way it's got to be, or completely wrong-footing the whole thing and going, oh no, actually, this character's doing this because because he's a person on the edge and he's doing this, that, and the other, and trying to justify it with some serious, sensible reason. It's just like, no, this is an adult Looney Tunes film. There you go. This man is Wile E. Coyote, except instead of getting Acme parts, he's basically sniffing sort of hay fever medicines and shagging people in the middle of the street. And just to add complete non-PC moment to it, he can't get it up unless there's a whole bus of Japanese schoolgirls in front of him. Just like you're like, oh my god, put on paper or even discussing it right now, you're sitting there going, no. But in the context of the film, you're just sitting there going, okay, this is just another batshit thing I'm just throwing on the pile. It's just one more thing. And so for me, as a film, to just sit there and go, what the fuck am I watching? This is just lunacy, and just laughing at it and laughing with it. That's the key. You're laughing with it. It's not, you're not sitting there going, oh, they take this so bloody seriously. They're so bloody dour. They're actually going, no, this is just. You can literally see the directors leaping through the camera at you, going, this is fucking mad. This is madness. You're not supposed to take any of this seriously at all. And
no, that is the whole idea of it, isn't it? I feel that Eve got the short shiv, though.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, like I say, if if you take it away and into the context of like what we're doing now, of sitting there and saying, well, what did you think of this aspect and what did you think of that? Doesn't work. It's wrong. It's rapey. It's misogynistic. It's racist. It's homophobic.
Everybody's reprehensible in it.
Everyone. Absolutely everyone. But the thing is, when you put it in the context of the film, and the film is essentially like a bad joke, and I don't care, one of those bad jokes that you only tell your best friend because you know they'll understand that you're joking. Yeah. Whereas if you said it on the internet, you'd end up with some sort of campaign to have your head from Twitter or something like that. And this film is that. It's a film which puts all that bad, mad, nut job, anti-PC stuff and just throws it all into a bucket and goes, yeah, but we're all in on the joke, right? We all understand this is a joke.
Yeah, I suppose it is quite refreshing in that respect because of what is being pumped out nowadays it's so aware of itself and its surroundings as well and what it's walking into. And this is just, okay, fine, we're just going to make a video game version of a film.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying it's high art, but I'm just saying that when we discuss it out of context, everything sounds wrong. But when you put it all in a bucket and watch it at the same time with everything else going on, and it's coming at you so fast. I mean, the film is 88 minutes long. I mean, seriously. By the time you realise you're halfway through, it's already over. And, there's Jason Statham running down the street with a lob on, in a dressing gown. I mean... There's nothing. There's at no point does anyone get out of this unscathed or non-insulted. It's almost like if you wanted to highbrow it, you could say, "Oh, this is a critique on hypermasculinity in action movies." It's just like, look, there he is. He's a man fighting everyone, but he's got a big stiffy. And that's what I'm saying. It's just it's just total lunacy. Like I say, going back to it for a second watch, it loses a lot of that power. And just as Jim rightly points out, you kind of sit there and you kind of feel there's it's almost like you're like an adrenaline junkie yourself. You're sitting there going, actually, you could go further with that now. You could do more with that now. And funny enough, when they do in Crank 2, you come away with a product that feels like it's taking itself more seriously and actually feels shit because of it. So
steer clear.
You need that sense of anarchy and fun for it to work.
Yeah.
I mean, just there is sort of like a running joke with these phone calls with the doctor.
Yeah.
I love the doctor. Who's kind of he's just got that kind of lazy, sleazy, sort of Bill Murray sort of vibe about him.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of, Jesus, what kind of doctor is this?
Yeah, exactly. He's sitting there going, "Oh yeah, you've taken so much epinephrine, your urethral sphincter's gone tighter than anything. You couldn't take a piss if you wanted to." And then you suddenly see that he's on a plane.
No.
Saying it to the guy.
Yeah, medical emergency.
Yeah, I got to do that. Yeah, you're going to have a raging boner and you couldn't take a piss even if you wanted to. And there's this old lady sitting beside him. It's just so gloriously wrong. And I have to say, I love it for that. I mean,
I respect any film that takes a serious action star and sticks them in a hospital gown. Not just for a few minutes, but for ages, making him look an absolute tit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's brilliant.
That's what I'm saying. It's like not even straight white guys get away with not being insulted by this thing. That's what I'm saying. It does go, right, okay, fine. If you think he's hard in everything, well, here he is having a hard-on, running down the street, looking at himself in a TV, looking at himself on a TV screen in the middle of the street while wearing Dr. Martens and rolled down little pixie socks. But anyway, so there you go. I mean, yeah, I On one level, I still love it. I think it's great fun. I think it's anarchic and crazy, but exactly the same as Jim. As soon as I saw it this second time round, I just sort of saw the shine come off, and I almost like the adrenaline junkie sort of started thinking, well, actually, you could now go that a lot further. You could take that even further, do more with it. But
I suppose I had that on my second viewing.
Yeah,
you almost want it to go a little bit further because you've seen it already.
Yeah,
and you're at its peak, and so you think, come on, just one more.
Yeah, do
one more
a bit
bloodshot in this camera. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, even just that bit when he's on the bike and it's doing "Everybody's talking at me."
That was inspired choice of music for that scene.
And then he just disappears over a bunch of tables because he's just driven the bike straight into a wall. It's like it takes all those meat-headed cliches and just says, "Look how fucking stupid he is."
Yeah, but there are nice touches, like the visual touches of things warping where he's on a come down.
Yeah.
But also the ringtone at the very beginning, you're in first person mode, so straight away you're in a computer game. But his ringtone sounds warbled, and it's not until halfway through the movie that you realise, no, that is his ringtone. It's not because he's drugged up.
Yeah,
and it is very clever like that. There's also a scene where he was talking to a guy in an elevator, and you could see the subtitles. And then when it was from the person in the elevator talking to Statham, the subtitles were the wrong way round. That was so clever. I love that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's those kind of bits where you just sit there going, "Well, actually, that's really quite amusing." Even in any film, and that's what I'm saying. It does walk such a really strange fine line of trying to make you kind of realise that what it's showing you is wrong. What? But on the other hand, it's just I thought it was brilliant. Anyway, right. So, is everyone fine, or has anyone got anything additional to add?
No. It's much like the film. My thoughts on this have come and gone in the blink of an eye.
In the blink of an eye. Brilliant. Okay, then. Well, I suppose it's time to get on with some feedback.
Now put your hands up, here online, doing real fine. We're doing our podcast thing. It's called Blackdog. It's not like a joke. Is anyone there listening? What do you think of our show? Let us know by MP3 or email. Just get it to us. It ain't no fuss. We'll even read your Twitter rings. Cause if you like us or you hate us, send some feedback in. Got a geek and punch a rates and put some feedback in. Even think my voice is sexy, put some feedback in. Man, we really like it if you put some feedback in.
Right, okay, so feedback for this week. Well, we'll start off with Gary Mr. Spock Madden, and he writes, "Do I look like I've got feedback written on my forehead?" Greetings, various and sundry Blackdoggerel and Mr. Parakeet. He's going to just keep throwing out different birds. I think if we make them all sound like owl, that'll be great. Anyway. He says, "It seems appropriate that the beginning of batshit crazy action month would coincide with the capture and demise of Ensign Grey. If you remember my last report, we rousted Ensign Grey from an area discotheque, and Bjorn and I were close in pursuit. We eventually grabbed him, and I managed to use a little publicised Vulcan technique called the Vulcan Mindfuck to discover the location of the time machine. Unfortunately, Bjorn decided the best way to get more info would be a Bronze Age technique called the Wet Willy. And what happens when you give a hydrophobic alien from the planet M. Night Shyamalama dumbass a Wet Willy? Well, basically you end up boring a hole through the little bastard's skull. Now we're back on our journey to the 21st century, and we're going to have to figure out exactly what's been done to the timelines by ourselves. So while we skip across space-time continuum, here's my feedback for Crank. Before I get to the whack-ass fun bits of this movie, I have to say I felt it was one really big shortcoming: its style. Through most of the movie, I felt like I was watching someone play first-person shooter. The film even starts out with a hardcore Harry-style first-person perspective, so that you're seeing, supposedly, your own hands and panning dumbly down to the protagonist's apartment. Dumbly around the protagonist's apartment, sorry. There's even the dumber than shit fuck you mission briefing DVD to provide an unearned plot dump. Then there's the big fuzzy, fitzy, zippy, short-circuit visual and the audio warbles and glonks that are all just a bit too gimmicky for their own good. Look, I fucking get he's been drugged in the first 2 seconds. I don't need any more sound effects. All of this would have been okay in a video game or even a short sequence, but when you stretch it out to feature length, it wears thin really quickly. I thought the producers took too long to get the mayhem in gameplay going, mostly wasting it on pretending that there was actually a plot. But when they finally deliver, holy fuck, it's fun. The film is an adrenaline antidote to the month of 3+ hour explorations of bleak landscapes and craggy faces. The gunplay was okay, and I think the insane soundtrack and sight gags were really what hooked me. Nothing like seeing Jason Statham headbang to Achy Breaky Heart, or seeing him surf a stolen police chopper through LA with his arse hanging out of a police hospital gown while Harry Nilsson sings "Everybody's Talking at Me" as it plays in the background. I love the exploding parakeet. Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. We shoot through the window and gets the parakeet in the window. Sorry, it's all just coming back to me in flashbacks. The granny attack on the poor Al Qaeda cabbie, or the hospital gown hard-on. Check. I also love the word "cunt" written on Statham's forehead, and the subtitles that appear to physically exist in the environment during the elevator ride on the final showdown. I will say the wink and the heartbeat at the last scene made me write a big fuck you on the DVD before I returned it back to Netflix, though. Nice recovery from Once Upon a Time in the West, fellows. I'm looking forward to checking out more Mania. Live long and make mine a quintuple espresso with a sidecar of Red Bull. Check. Gary, Mr. Spock Madden. Well, there you go. Thank you very much, that sir. Yeah, the style's not going to be for everyone, I suspect, but yeah. Cool, I'm glad that when it did kick in, it worked well for you, sir. So, cool. So let's move on. Thank you very much for that piece of feedback. And we'll move on to you, Jim. Who do you have first?
We have Cole the Bastard Hurley.
Wow, back from the wilderness. Hello, Cole the Bastard Hurley.
Anyhow, he writes, Hello, guys. Well, I'm back. And I'm returning with Crank. I find it fitting I'd return with this movie. This was a first-time viewing for me, and holy hell, this movie was crazier than I thought. I've seen Crank compared to the live-action version of GTA, and I can't really disagree with that. It's stupid, loud, disrespects the laws of physics, and generally waves its freak flag high. I think my opinion on this movie is that I found it very enjoyable. It's stupid as shit, but it knows it's stupid as shit. I think that's what saves Crank for me, because if it wasn't as self-aware as it was, I think it would fail badly for me. In the end, it's not doing anything new, but it's doing one thing right. It's fun. If this movie wasn't fun to watch, I don't think I'd have stuck with it. But it was, and I did. All in all, a good experience. Till next week, Cole.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. Thank you very much, Cole, and welcome back, sir. Cool. Well, there you go. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. We're getting mostly positives. I was expecting it to turn into a bit of a sort of everyone hates it.
Still time.
Yeah, I was going to turn into a, oh God, what have I done? But anyway, right, cool. Well, thank you very much for that, Cole, and good feedback. And we're moving on. So, Darren, who do you have first?
I have Scott Morrison.
Scott Morrison. So we still haven't got a superhero name for, but we'll work on it.
No, we haven't got one at all.
No.
Yeah, we'll get there in the end. We'll get there. And he sends a mail titled "Such a Fine Line Between Stupid and Clever," and he writes, "Hello, Blackdoggers. Well, this is a bit of a whiplash from last week, eh? I happened to pause the movie at the point where Jason Statham is running through the streets wearing nothing but a hospital gown and a hard-on. And was shocked to see only 35 minutes had passed. I think it took longer than that for Woody Strode to drink water from his hat. I think so, yeah. I think he's right on that one. This is a mystery monocle for me. I remember the trailer looking sort of meh and standard, but this is definitely not a standard movie. The opening credits with the loud head-banging 80s big hair music and crude 16-bit graphics tell you what you're in for. It is literally an action porn, with one detour into kind of porn. The plot is just there to get Chev to his next bit of arse-kicking. There's really no point in analysing or trying to break down this movie. To steal a line from Shakespeare, this movie is shaped like itself, but hey, why not give it a go? I'm still trying to figure out if the directors are just stupid or brilliantly clever. On the stupid but clever side, Crank could be seen as a batshit crazy action film with a nice sprinkling of jet black humour to keep it from too dark and getting too dark and brutal. The bird getting blown apart gave me a nice chuckle. God, I'm such an arsehole. Or it could be a brilliant deconstruction of the hitman with one last job plot. Chev isn't even an anti-hero. He's an absolute sociopathic meathead who can't remember the life-saving information that someone told him 5 minutes ago. At one point, he snaps at someone, "Do I have cunt written across my forehead?" And sure enough, the word appears there for a brief second. It's almost as if the directors are saying, "Yes, Chev, you are a cunt." There are other little meta touches as well, like the subtitles during the shirt factory shootout, sorry, that don't actually translate what they are saying into English. Yeah, I noticed that. That was good. That's about it, really. Overall, I liked it. There was enough of a wink to the audience to keep it from getting too dreary. Keep up the good work and don't get flunched. Scott Morrison.
Thanks very much for that, Scott. Oh dear. We might have to call him Mr. Flunch.
I think so.
Well, let's not jump too quickly, but he's the first person to re-mention that, so
there you are.
Anyway, thank you very much for that, Scott. Good feedback. Cool. Oh, this is getting a lot more positive feedback than I expected, to be honest. But excellent. So, Elton, who do you have next?
I have the Lord Chief Justice himself, Mr. Chris Johnson.
Ah, yes. The Shipfinder General.
Yeah. And he says, cranking one out for feedback. Hello, all. I know it's been a while since I've fed back, but it's my new job getting in the way. So, with all that, let's get down to Crank. I have to say, I love this movie because it's just totally nuts, just like me. And after I finished it, I watched Crank 2. Keep up the good work, guys. Chris, sent from my overworked life.
Oh, well, there you go. Short, sweet, to the point. And thank you very much for that, Chris. And I hope your work-life mix improves.
Too right.
Yeah. It's terrible when that sort of encroaches. But, yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Chris. And you can hear more from Chris on Witless for the Defence, which is witless.geekplanetonline.com.
If he's overworked so much, we might see him running down the high street in just a hospital gown at one point.
Going, juice me. With an with a couple of electrodes and some epinephrine sticking out.
I've had enough.
Anyway. Thank you very much for that, Chris. So, on to my next piece of feedback. My next piece of feedback is from Doreen Kelly, who I think we called Lord Elk from the planet Keldor.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, from the planet Keldor. Lord Elk from the planet Keldor. Well, let's go with it. And so she writes, crank it straight back to the charity shop. Hi. Okay, just to let you know my immediate reaction to Crank. Pretty much as soon as the credits started to roll, my husband began to ask me if I wanted to watch it again before feeding back. To which I answered, no. And I sat straight up, alert to hitting stop play on the button and stopping it from being pressed again. I admit that most of this was due to the Ev and Chev antics in Chinatown, to which my initial reaction was that the woman needs a basic lesson in self-respect. However, Chev's phone call at the end, where answering machine is taking his third or fourth message, i.e. suggesting a lot, if not all, has gone on before Chev's male ego guiding his acid trip, but obviously he isn't an overly confident either. I'm trying to box up those few scenes and put it on to the side, as moral outrage wants to break free. I think I might be alone in this, watching the tumbleweed roll by, but I am Lord Elk from the planet Kildor, and my morals are my own. Thanks for the cool name, Darren, and for your indulgence, Master Lee. Okay, well, I think they've got that box in storage. I'd like to thank Ian and Dave from Twice as Bright Half as Long for doing Twin Peaks, as it was quite good training for this film, especially the scenes where the naked ladies are in hamster balls. I found myself wondering if Chev should have kept a toad in his bedroom. Perhaps he could have peed on Verona or whatever his name is and sent him on his way. I enjoyed the toads on the whole Microgoria, Jim. We've gone on for the toads now. Elton, I definitely would not want a sticker album with this film, and great Mixler on Friday as usual. I enjoyed the music in this film. I thought there was lots of riffs on diverse genres in Crank, and I felt it was a bit like a war movie when it all kicked off on top of the hotel. Also, an earlier point in the film I was reminded of Dread, but I can't remember when though, as I couldn't take notes in this film as it was such an assault on the senses. Also, the visual stuff told a lot of the story. I had to even put down my cross stitch. Well, there you go.
Got the Scotch stitch out of her hand.
It's not Barry's change out of his pockets. Okay, I'll leave it there. I'm on my way to pack my bags for a stay in the nerd locker. I'm not sure a bunker of shum would be the correct punishment for the above feedback. Thanks for the experience, Doreen. Well, actually, no, Doreen, you're perfectly fine. There's no bunker of shun or nerd locker. I didn't even know we had a nerd locker, but you know, there's no punishment for not liking this film. I actually expected a lot more people not to like it, so it's fine. And thanks for the rundown of all of our other podcasts. So that's quite good. So there you go. Toads on Hypnagoria, sticker albums on Nelton's thing.
Yeah, holistic feedback.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly. It's feedback across the board.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely. You can read this out again on Hypnagoria if you like, Jim. So anyway, thank you very much for that, Doreen. Or Lord Elk of the planet Kildor. And so we'll move on to you. Who is it? Darren next.
Okay, yeah. So we have a mail from Gareth Thomas.
Ah, the Proton.
Yes, entitled Adrenaline Junkie.
Uh-huh.
And he writes, Good afternoon, Blackdog Junkies. Apologies for the lack of feedback recently, but I've been away spreading positivity throughout the land. But I trust you and the family Blackdog are well. On to Crank. I'd already seen this film and didn't really think much of it the first time round. However, I did enjoy it more this time on this viewing. Let's be honest, it's bollocks. The premise, etc., is quite unbelievable, but it was fun. Take your brain out for 90 minutes, you're sorted. Sex in a Chinatown, overdosing over-the-counter medication, and a BJ whilst driving. We've all done it, right? Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just this morning.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the Statham
That was
fights.
a ride on the bus, wasn't it?
That's why you were late.
Fuck it, yeah. I just made all that shit up that I was talking about, so there you go. But I enjoyed the Statham fights and choreography with hands getting chopped off and sewing machine-related injuries. The thing with Jason... Yeah, that was painful, that. Fucking hell, that hurt. The thing with Jason Statham is you know exactly what you're going to get. He won't win any Oscars, but he's going to kick some ass. That's it for now. Cheers, dude. Gareth Proton Thomas, increasing your heart rate at least 3 times a week for 20 minutes will do you the world of good. Masturbation doesn't count.
Oh, bollocks. Well, that's my exercise regime out the window.
He also did say on Twitter that he loved the soundtrack to this as well.
Oh, right, cool. Oh, you're keeping an eye on Twitter, are you? Sorry, that's good.
I am.
Good, thank you. Because Blackdog's gone dead, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I killed it off. But there. So thank you for keeping an eye on Twitter, and thank you, Gareth, for being on Twitter. So there you go. Yes, it is bollocks, absolutely. But it's fun bollocks. And, yeah, blowjobs in the car. I like that, actually. Why? I haven't finished yet. What, do you want me to... What, do I want you to go to sleep afterwards? No. But anyway. Dear, just all manner of wrong. Anyway, right. Well, thank you very much for that, Gareth. Keep on positivity. And yes, we'll move on to our last piece of written feedback. And who is that, Jim?
It is the fiendish Dr. Will.
Yes.
Who writes subject line, not exactly Shakespeare.
No.
Anyhow, Will writes, well, Crank did pretty much exactly what it said on the tin. It was indeed batshit crazy. I wouldn't claim it to be a good film by any means, but it did have its moments. There were enough giggles in there to make it an acceptable way to pass the time when I didn't want to use my brain. The format of the frantic action interspersed with quiet moments is old but effective, reminiscent of the Blues Brothers going up the lift with just the girl from Ipanema playing in the background. Particularly the scene with the car going up the escalator, which, despite the poor effects, made me chuckle. I felt the film kept a consistent tone that was just this side of comedy. If they tried to play it seriously, it would have been a complete disaster. But they kept it light-hearted, and that made it work. I love the scenes with the girlfriend. Don't talk to him like that. My boyfriend kills people. It wasn't quite good enough to be a go-to movie when you're in the mood for something mindless, but I'm not sorry I watched it. Till next time, fiendish Dr. Will.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Will. Great stuff. So, yes, I think he sums it up perfectly, actually. It's not Shakespeare. It's never going to be.
No.
But you just enjoy it for what it is. So, brilliant. Well, that's the written feedback all out the way. Thank you very much to everyone who's written in. Always appreciated. And now we're time to move on to MP3 feedback. And our first piece of MP3 feedback comes from Greg Madden, Gary Madden's brother. So, MP3 feedback from across the water. Not the last bit of feedback from across the Atlantic, but let's hear what Greg had to say about Crank.
Greetings, Blackdog Podcast. This is Greg Madden with his very first MP3 feedback for you. So please bear with me if there's any sound quality glitches or anything else like that. I'm still learning all these systems. So this week we are going to the outrageous world of Crank. This movie, when I first heard it on the list, I didn't have much hope for her. I figured it'd be a huge pile of crap, and I wasn't disappointed. The movie was filled with ultra-violence, nudity, and drugs. I think mainly just to push a thin plot line along. A plot line that could have probably been wrapped up in 30 minutes, but it was dragged out to about 2 hours, I believe it was. I don't have the facts in front of me right now. But that being said, I was thoroughly disappointed in even the special effects in it. I was hoping for at least a little entertainment, even if it was comical. Some of the scenes almost were laughable. But it had my number one pet peeve of all times in this show, where a character gets injured and is not even feeling the effects of whatever happened to him the next scene. To me, that is unforgivable in any movie, and the director should be shot for this. Going on from there, this show had tons of stereotypes, and I wish they would have tried to make some more deeper characters than what they did. You had the Hispanic drug lord, the triad members wearing their sunglasses and looking like a whatever you want to call them, the blonde bimbo girlfriend. I mean, come on. Try to be original a little bit, please. I know this is just a silly action film, but I would just love to see a little effort in developing their characters. Let's see, what else do we have? The bad special effects wrapped up really in the last scene where the obvious green screen behind him as he fell out of the helicopter with the crime boss, fighting him all the way down, and then making a phone call. really? I was waiting for him to do his taxes after that, but, you know, I hate it when I fall from a helicopter and have all those things to do before I hit the ground. Then he bounced like a Super Bowl once he hit. Yeah, I think I'll just leave that there. I'm sure I don't have much more to add to this that hasn't already been said. So I'll wrap it up here and say, love the work you're doing. We're looking forward to hearing the next podcast. And cheers.
And cheers to you, sir. Cool. Well, thank you very much for your first bit of feedback. For what it's worth, it's the sound quality was fine. It was great. Yeah. There you go. Good work. So let's hear more from you in the future, sir, when you feel like it. So it's been great. So he wasn't impressed, was he? Let's be honest.
Did you get that impression?
It was subtle. It was coming through though. I got the vibe. The whole thing of I like the whole thing of he spent so long falling that he could do his taxes. I mean, yeah, the falling. But I mean, I think that at that point it was just like, at that point I think Crazy Train had just left the station so long ago.
God, yeah.
It's in keeping with what has gone before.
In fairness, yeah, I don't think there's much else more they could have done unless Superman came and saved him halfway down. Or maybe he grew wings or became an angel. That probably could have happened.
I don't know. I have heard some horrendous factoids about falling from great heights and how long it actually does take.
Oh, God.
And the fact that you probably will be conscious all the way down.
Oh, don't tell me things like that. I'm not a fan of heights in the first place, and I'm going to be flying in August. Oh, don't tell me things, Jim.
But then, as I said, by that point in the film, I think, the laws of physics have just packed up and gone home.
Yeah, I think the laws of physics have decided to go to a totally different film. Yeah, the plot. I tell you, the telling thing in Greg's feedback there was the thing that he said. It was a 2-hour film. It was a 30-minute plot in a 2-hour film, and it's only 88 minutes long, so it clearly felt a lot longer for him. So, oh dear, I'm really sorry about that, sir. I'm glad you sent your feedback in. It's very appreciated, and gives us, shows that it's not just Doreen on one side going, no, don't like this. Yep, there's more people who don't like this, and I was expecting more people to not like this. But anyway, thank you very much for your feedback, sir. Much appreciated, and we'll look forward to having more in the future. Right. Okay, so the next piece of feedback. Well, we'll move on now. We've got John Campion. Now, before we get on to this, obviously John was a big advocate for the for the Western Movie Month. So I wonder how he's going to get on with Crank.
Hello, Lee, Darren, Jim, Elton, and Mr. Owl. Well, this is certainly a change from the long years of Western Month. I haven't seen Crank in a while, and what strikes me on this watch is just how willfully obnoxious it is, even down to its soundtrack, which is like something an angry teenager would play loudly in their bedroom or out of some body-kitted Citroen saxo. Women in the film are depicted almost entirely as sex objects or trophies, and the film's racial politics are pretty grim, with very few exceptions. The philosophical gang leader, for example, springs to mind. It's hard to pick out heroes in Crank, with most of the characters following an entirely selfish agenda, and at times quite literally running over the innocents that get in their way, when they're not exploiting or threatening them. In many ways it's a sort of Grand Theft Auto of films. Chelios himself is like a sweary, amoral force of nature, an uneasy mix of Walker from Point Blank and the protagonist of DOA. I also think the film has at least part of its roots in the action films of the 1980s, where motivation wasn't quite so important as racking up the body count was. I think the film gets away with it just because of its breakneck pace. You never give them much time to sit and think through the implications of what's happening, or muse on the characters and what they might mean. As well as that, it's Statham's performance that elevates the film. Somehow he manages to make Chelios, if not likeable, then at least someone that we want to see to the end of the film. And it helps in that respect that his enemies are somehow managing to be nastier and more venal than he is. Overall, Crank is still kind of fun, and I didn't hate it, but I feel like it's showing its age a bit, and a bit like the energy drinks that Chev chugs down through the film. I don't think you'd want too much of it in one sitting. A solid start, though, to Batshit Crazy Action Month.
How freaking awesome was that, huh?
All right, steady on. Pip, pip, chaps.
Pip, pip to you, sir. And thank you for that feedback. Yeah, willfully obnoxious. I think that's kind of a mission statement for this film, isn't it? Really. Yeah, willfully obnoxious and like something a teenager would pump out of a body kitted Citroen Saxo. I think that would almost end up on the poster quote. Don't you? I mean, I don't think anyone's not going to wear that as a Medal of Honor. The people who made this. It's interestingly brought up DOA. I completely forgot about that film. Has anyone seen that?
Oh no, but I've heard of it.
It's got the kind of similar sort of plot, and it was remade with a film called with Lindsay Lohan called Kill Me Again, which was bloody awful. But yeah. Anyway, just interesting feedback there. So yeah, it is willfully obnoxious. Its politics are just in the gutter, but it is one of those films that is unapologetic about it and takes none of it seriously. But as we've already said, so yeah, I know I can understand it's not for everyone, but hey ho. So thank you very much for that, John. I'm glad you at least think it was a good solid start for Batshit Crazy Movie Month, and the next film, like I say, will be less rapey but no less crazy. Right, so thank you very much for that, John, and we'll move on to our next piece of feedback. Now, our next piece of feedback is from another long-time missing feedbacker, Michael the Belly Stapler Cornett, who I think has a new name.
Good evening, Black Doggers. Good evening to Lee, Darren, Jim, and Elton, and all those listening. This is Michael Cornett, the Belly Stapler, from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm also now known as Leopold von Gropenhans, because a week ago I actually made my debut as a boylesque dancer. Yes, this chubby 50-year-old guy got on stage and took his clothes off and got paid for it. I did not get arrested. Amazing. I can't believe I did it. And I may end up doing it again. I had a lot of fun. So that's my big thing. Anyway, on to Crank. This was always on my list because I'd heard good things about it. A friend of mine who is a film critic actually said he walked into it expecting this to be like some cheap-ass piece of shit and actually had a lot of fun with it. And this movie rocks. This movie is a blast. And the big thing is it just does not take itself so fucking seriously. And that is so welcome in all these movies out there now that are just like so up their own asses with how serious, and they're making a statement about how, violence begets violence and all this, or, making a statement about the current state of the world and the war and here, there, and everywhere, and, conditions in Upper Slobovia and the war in Ruritania, who fucking knows, or else they're trying to be so gritty and realistic and dark. It's like, oh, fuck that. Give us something loony and crazy and frenetic and all that, and we'll have a great time with it. And that's exactly what Crank did. I can almost look at it and think that this is a parody of how adrenaline fueled so many movies can be. and just what adrenaline junkies we have out there in the world today. But really, I mean, Statham was very straightforward in his acting. Of course, he's nothing great in the acting department, but he is nice to look at. He flashes ass a few times. Woohoo! But the rest of the cast was okay. I mean, I kind of liked the actress playing his girlfriend, who was so vapid and kind of dumb, and when he's trying to have a serious conversation with her and she has hiccups, yeah, you can see that happening. You can see that fucking happening, in a real situation where I need to have a serious talk with you. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to hunt down the sequel at some point and check that out as well, because I mean, hey, Jason Statham, he's a lot of fun. He's not great, but he's fun. And that was this movie. It wasn't great, but it was fun, and it was a breath of fresh air after all this ponderousness and we're going to beat our breasts over violence and in society and all that. Fuck that. Have fun. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Come check out my blog at dustandcorruption.blogspot.com, and keep an eye for Leopold von Gropenhans showing up at a show in the DC Baltimore area if you happen to be listening in that area. And I'll see y'all later. This is Mike Redette, the Belly Stapler, Leopold von Gropenhans. Check it out. Mwah. Bye.
Well, there you go. There's a new name. Leopold von Gropenhans.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw the photos. I think there was a video as well, but I couldn't watch it while at work. But no, congratulations, sir. It takes a lot of balls to get up and do that kind of thing. And yes, my hat is doffed to thee. Brilliant work. Cool. And he liked Crank as well, to boot. It sounded like it had everything he could possibly want. Statham's good to look at, crazy non-PC action. Yay! There you go.
Can this be translated into a Crank-themed burlesque turn for your next appearance?
Oh, man, yeah. There you go. Leopold. The gauntlet is thrown from across the Atlantic. A Crank-inspired boylesque stage show. You have to turn up wearing nothing but a hospital gown, DM boots, and pixie socks.
Well, that'd be a great show closer. I mean, the great Judas Priest traditionally often ends their show with Rob Halford driving a motorbike on stage and whipping it. Imagine the same thing with a Hospital Johnny. I mean, the sky's the limit here.
There you go. Yeah, if you really want to go out with a bang, you get yourself sort of defibrillated as well on stage. but wow, excellent. Oh, that's a good plan there, Jim. So there you go, Leopold. Off you go. There's your plan. Thank you very much for your feedback, Michael. Great feedback as always. Good to hear you again, and glad you're having a good time. Right, so let's move on. Our next penultimate piece of feedback is from the Orgs, Pete and Anne-Marie, who do the fantastic Borgcast, which you can find at borgcast.geekplanetonline.com and on iTunes. And let's hear what they say about Crank.
Hello, chaps.
Hello.
That was all a bit frantic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, in a real hurry, the chap was.
Yeah, that was a thing. Yeah.
We splat.
Yeah. And what's with the hands?
Yes, constantly hands get mauled in this.
Yes.
Somebody's got something against hands, apparently.
Yes.
Or at least fingers.
Oh, yeah, the sewing machine.
Ah.
Oh. And then running around in a hospital gown. And, I understand he's trying to disguise himself as a patient, but he didn't have to take his kecks off.
Nice arse, though.
Yeah, and then he's running around with a boner, isn't he? And he's standing there in a hospital gown with a boner. Oh, yeah. I just don't know what to say, really.
We splat.
That it?
Yeah. Wee. Quite how they got a sequel out of it, I don't know, and I don't think I want to know either, really. 'Cause that was a natural ending for it, I think.
Yeah, if there was anything natural about any of it at any point.
Yeah.
It's kind of Grand Theft Auto the movie in a way, isn't it?
Yes.
But some of it was so surreal. Like, what were we know in Carlito's apartment, what were the women in the bubbles?
I don't know. And the wee jockeys that got their heads blown off.
Yeah.
I don't know what we just watched. But there we go. It was entertaining, I'll give it that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Splendid. Thank you for that, chaps.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
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 Bye. Well, thank you very much for that feedback. There you go. He was in a bit of a rush, wasn't he, old Statham? I think that's an understatement of the year.
That's the cut price British remake title right there.
Yeah, in a bit of a hurry. Yeah. starring Jason Statham's brother or someone. Yeah.
Hang on, Elton Crazy Theory. Is Crank just a remake of John Cleese's Clockwise?
Oh my God!
Oh, wow.
Actually, here's the crazy theory: is Crank actually happening at all, or is it all in Jason Statham's head because he's drugged up to the nines, still lying on his bed?
That's
Who
crazy.
knows?
Yeah. Well, there you go. But
I'm
anyway,
glad you came out with that.
Yeah, well, you know, I've got. This wouldn't be an episode of the Blackdog without at least one person saying, "But what if it was all a dream?" Seems to be a reoccurring theme nowadays in the discussions. It's get about right to the very end, and we run out of all other options, and it's like, "But what if it was all a dream?" Actually, I might put that on a T-shirt and stick that on Redbubble. Anyway, so thank you very much for that, Pete. Thank you very much for that, Anne-Marie. And you can hear both of them on the broadcast. And you can hear Pete with me and Andy on Space Doc Jury, which is spacedoc.geekplanetonline.com and on iTunes. Right. Okay, so it's time for the last bit of feedback. The last bit of feedback is, of course, Drew and Tracy. Let's hear what they thought of Crank.
So that was Crank then?
Yes, and you lulled me into a false sense of security because you said we was going to be doing some Das Boot or LA Confidential.
Some high quality films.
And then all of a sudden they changed the set list and like, we had this tonight, and it's like, what the fuck? We have watched this before, although to be fair, we watched like the first 15 minutes.
15 minutes and we just turned
and
it
we were
off,
like,
didn't we?
there is no way I'm watching this film. But actually, we kind of gave it a go tonight, and this
powered on
was
through.
Funny. This
we
film actually did
really
make us
laughing,
roar.
we?
We've laughed
Yeah.
quite a few times.
There's a real black humour to it, which is my favourite kind of humour.
Absolutely. I mean, there was so many just funny bits.
Yep.
It just absolutely made me die. For example, the escalator scene where the car crashes onto the escalator.
That was excellent.
We was roaring at that one. Where he meets Ricky's brother in the alley and he chops his hand off, which we had a conversation about for about 5 minutes ago. There's no way you could do that.
It depends how sharp the cleave was, but
and
anyway.
then he picks up the gun with his hand still attached and shit. Oh, it's just ridiculous. And then when he pulls the taxi driver out of his cab and he says to him, Al Qaeda, and then like the women attack him and break his leg.
You're sick, you know. No, it was really funny, actually.
It was just all of these stupid points that just absolutely made us die with laughter. The photo fit picture when they were standing on the street.
Oh yes, yeah.
And his picture came up on the screen, and the guy was kind of looking sideways at him, and then he looked down and he had the we was roaring at that.
There was I gotta say, I can't think of a film that has made us both roar out with laughter in a long time.
We was pitching ourselves.
No, comedies don't do this.
No, this was just absolutely ridiculously stupid up until the point where it got to Chinatown.
The sex scene,
yeah. And I just thought,
I do think we was both a bit like, ooh.
That was really cringy, and I thought the film absolutely took a nosedive from there.
It did, and yes, if the film had ended before that, I would have been saying this is my favourite film that I've ever seen in my life. Because I was absolutely loving the pumping music, and it's a bit like going to a club and being on drugs or something. It's just like, it was just so good, but it did take a nose off. I guess it couldn't have like fulfilled that level.
Oh, I know, but it was
the whole way through.
It was just, I can't even describe it. It was wrong. There was no need for it.
But moving past that, I think overall,
but it just didn't pick up pace again after that.
I enjoyed the experience of watching this. I'm really glad this time we went over the 15 minutes. Yeah, so it was a good experience, the whole film in all, but I don't... It's not as good film as the beginning bit.
No, the second half does not live up to what it should do.
No.
There's still some kind of funny points in there, but more points that we picked out, like his dodgy eyesight when he kept going all blurry. I mean, I said to you, oh, that's me when I take my lenses out at night and stuff like that. And at the end bit when he's fighting with, is it Ricky, the baddie?
I've no idea I don't even know what his name is. Do you? Crankman.
Yeah, Crankman.
I don't know.
Yeah, but when they're fighting in a helicopter. And two questions kind of came to me. Like, when he pulls him out of the helicopter and they're falling, and you're thinking, where's the fart guffs? Because if I was falling like that out of a helicopter, you'd see some fart guffs coming on.
Some brown trails would be coming out, wouldn't there?
Yeah, some brown sprays. You know, you'd be like shitting yourself, wouldn't you? That, you know, you're falling to your death. And then secondly, when he kills the bloke, why does he not hang on to him and use him as a pillow to bounce off on the ground? Because he knows he's going to hit, and he knows he's going to hit hard.
I don't think you should take it that seriously.
That's just like villain territory. I don't know. This wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean...
I did say to you, there is Crank 2, let's do it.
First 43 minutes, I'd give it 11 or 12 out of 10.
Only because the film is shit, but it just made us laugh so much. It really did. It's stupid. It's daft beyond belief.
I'm so glad we've seen it, but perhaps I'll never watch it again.
Yeah, but as I said to you, the amount of Red Bull that he drank should keep him pumping for 20 years. It would keep me up for about 20 nights, to be fair. We watched it.
Brilliant, but never again.
Probably not. Let's leave it there.
Okay.
Ciao, guys. Bye.
Thanks very much for that. So Chev can drink a lot of Red Bull and go for like 20 years, but that's nothing for Tracy. Tracy can just sail for it for 20 days. So yeah, I hope you get treated for your Red Bull addiction. Anyway, yeah, well, it's a good note to end on. Looks like they had a really good time with that, and yeah, I did find out that they went on to Crank 2 and didn't enjoy it nearly as much, and then promptly tried to blame me for it. It's like, no. Thanks very much. But anyway, no, so thank you very much for that, Drew. Thank you very much for that, Tracy. Glad you liked the film, despite what you might have thought about it before watching it. And yeah, excellent feedback as always. Good fun. Right, well, yeah, it's time to wrap it up, I guess. So thank you to everyone who sent in feedback. Thank you to everyone who's written in and everyone sent in MP3. It's been great fun. Great to hear all your opinions on this film. And now it's time to move on to next week's film. Now, next week's film is batshit crazy. Absolutely 100% batshit crazy. Not quite as rapey. Not quite as Looney Tunes in some respects, but in other respects, it's totally Wile E. Coyote. It's a film which I kind of stumbled across because I just picked it up out of a bargain bin basement when I was in kind of a DVD buying mode, and I just bought it, and I thought, oh, I wonder what this is like, and that was that, about sort of nearly 10 years ago now, and it's a film called Kung Fu Hustle. Now, which one of you guys has seen it? Has anyone seen it?
I've not. I've always meant to, but never quite got round to it.
Okie dokie. Elton?
Never even heard of it.
Right-yo. Darren?
I've not seen it, no.
Wow, okay. So this is a proper mystery monocle. Okay. Well, I have seen it. I love it. I think it's cheesy, it's crazy. It's a kung fu movie, obviously, by a director called Stephen Chow. And the long and the short of it is, it's like all those sort of 70s kung fu movies, but with a sense of humour and a complete lack of physics. and a little bit of sort of a little dash of monkey thrown in there for good measure. The special effects, I will say now, just to counteract anyone who's going to jump in, are naff and in places. But the humour is pure nutso gonzo action bonkers. Okay?
Okay.
Now, it is available on Netflix. I do believe it's also on Amazon. So people can find it quite easily. But I'll happily help anyone out who needs help. And yes, it's going to be an interesting film to get some feedback on. There's 2 versions floating about. One has an American dub over the top of it, which is close to the subtitled version. But if you can get hold of the subtitled version, obviously you'll get an experience closer to the actual dialogue that's supposed to be coming out of their mouths. But dub works fine. It's just going to have one of those kind of, hey, I'm an American talking like a Japanese person, yeah, kind of thing going on. Bit D'Artagnan and the 4 Muskehounds kind of voicing. Lots of people going, huh? What? just to cover the shortfall in the dialogue. But yes, it's fucking nuts, this film. All right? And it's proper funny as well. At least I thought so the last time I watched it. So, get your asses in gear. Go and seek this film out. Kung Fu Hustle, Stephen Chow is the director and the star. And I'm not going to tell you anything about the plot because it's probably best you don't know. And to be quite honest, it's not going to help you out anyway. So, yeah, batshit crazy movie month moves on for a second week with Kung Fu Hustle. So, send in your feedback to blackdog@geekplanetonline.com. Join us on the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/the Blackdog Podcast. And that's about it. But it just leaves us to ask Jim to tout your wares.
Yes, you can hear me every week on my own podcast, Hypnagoria, which is available at Geek Planet Online, iTunes, and on Stitcher, and other places as well. This week I'm talking about some H.P. Lovecraft poetry, and coming up this weekend, the start of a 2-part epic reading of a William Hope Hodgson novella, The Hog.
Nice. And you, Elton?
Okay, you can catch me right now, because I released it about half hour before we started recording this, a new episode of Shonky Lab. It's about sticker albums. I was joined by Peter from Space Doc Jury and Dave from Tangential Deviation.
Yeah, Dave Probert.
Yes. And also, I'd like to plug, if you don't mind, the Fiendish Dr. Will. On the Facebook group on the Black Dog, he's set up a IMDb page of all the Black Dog films that we've covered.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes. Yes, go on, carry on, sorry.
And it's rather good. I'm trying to find the actual list itself, but if you go to the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/Blackdog Podcast, and then you go into the files on the 2016 episodes. In the comments down there is a link to it.
Cool. Yeah, I will find that on the group, and I will bump that post back up. Yeah, thank you very much for bringing that up, because I completely fluffed that. Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Will, as well. That's really cool. He's trying to put them in order, if I remember correctly, as well. So, yes, it's great. Cool. So, I'll find that, and I'll put the link up on the Facebook group, or bump it to the top anyway, and that'll be great.
Cool.
So, thank you very much for reminding me of that, Elton. That's really cool, and thank you, Will, for doing it, because it's amazing. Right. Well, that's it then. Time to wrap it all up. Darren, you still awake?
I'm still awake.
You are doing a sterling job.
Thank you very much.
You haven't got anything to plug, have you?
Yeah, there's
Howling
a hole in the
Roof?
fence. Yeah.
Nice. Right, okay then. Well, on that bombshell, because we can't say that anymore thanks to Top Gear. On that bombshell, I shall see you all soon. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you to my hosts, and we'll catch you next week for Kung Fu Hustle. Until then, tatty bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
Oh, bollocks to it.